Hello everyone, today I'm going to talk about a thing that the majority of you probably don't really care too much about, but I do. A lot. So I'm going to talk about it. That thing is the world first raid race coming for Crown of Sorrows in Season of Opulence. It's a topic we've brushed over a few times in the past, but never really went too in depth on. First, let's talk about the actual change that is coming. For the new raid, Crown of Sorrows, Bungie is introducing a new modifier called Contest. This modifier will only last for the first 24 hours of the raid, and then it will be turned off. What this modifier does is caps the highest light you can be in the raid on a per encounter basis. So they gave an example for where the first fight in the raid, any power above level 700 is not going to have an effect on your character. The final fight has a cap of 720, so anything above 720 will not be helpful. So why is this important? Well, we've had two major raid experiences and one minor one, where the world first race was over incredibly quickly, around 2 hours. Wrath of the Machine, Scourge of the Past, and Eater of Worlds all suffered from an issue with players being able to level too quickly. Wrath of the Machine actually had players with higher power than what the normal mode was actually set for going into that raid on day one. Scourge suffered similar issues with players in the 640s for a 650 encounter when they probably should have been around 625 or so. So why is that a problem? Well, there are two elements to the world first race: figuring out mechanics and then sandbox challenge. There's not a lot Bungie can do about people solving mechanics quickly, as it doesn't rely on gear level or anything like that. Some raids are intentionally designed with easier to solve mechanics compared to others. King's Fall and Last Wish are very mechanic focused raids, while Wrath of the Machine and Scourge of the Past are more action and combat oriented, which means less difficult mechanics to solve. I anticipate Crown of Sorrows to be an action and combat oriented raid, as usually those King's Fall and Last Wish type puzzle raids are for the big time launches. The sandbox challenge revolves around the game just being difficult. Enemies are harder to kill and kill you faster because you're lower level than you should be. This is the thing that people are getting around by leveling up too quickly. The raid race became more about the prep work involved to skyrocket in levels to avoid the sandbox challenge, and less about the struggle of the day one experience of being low level. Now, the sandbox difficulty will return to some degree because no matter how high your light is, you're capped out at the highest 720 on the final encounter. And now, the race isn't only just about who saved the most stuff or who got the best RNG. Is that to say that the leveling system in Destiny is perfect now for this scenario? No, definitely not. But it will take a lot to overhaul leveling in Destiny compared to just putting a cap on effective power for 24 hours in the world first race. This now makes the sandbox struggle relevant again, like it was in Last Wish. Does this mean that if you're going for a world first raid that you should stop preparing? Yes. Yes, it does. Everyone stop. Don't do any... Okay, well, obviously, no, you should keep preparing because 720 is the cap for the raid, or the final encounter at least. But the reason people are still going to go crazy with preparing is because we only have a 6-hour window, and 6 hours is maybe not enough time to get 720 on one character without some assistance. Bungie has made some strides in preserving the world first chase and limiting power leveling by hoarding rewards from season to season, but there's still work to be done. They did make it so powerful rewards will cap out at whatever season they were taken in's power cap, so you can't really carry those over too much anymore. And, I mean, I guess that's the main thing they've done, but it was still a huge source of powerful rewards, so that's a good thing. I would like to see this function put towards exotic weapon quests as well, as part of the race now is who can save the most amount of stuff from the past, or who got the best RNG in their drops, and not necessarily who can grind out the most stuff in the time allotted. Exotic quests giving powerful rewards is a part of the current prep, but it's a finite source. If every preparation guide says to complete your exotic quests for this raid race, then you're not going to have any for the next time to boost you up for the next raid race, but someone who didn't spend them on this race is at an advantage for the next one, and in my opinion, I shouldn't be trying to prepare for every raid coming in the future all at the same time. In an ideal world, people who complete the same amount of powerful rewards should be about the same level, and I'm sure for the most part they are. But being 3 levels behind someone because you got 6 power weapons in a row isn't really the most fair, and this is absolutely still a problem that will happen for this race because there isn't much stopping it from happening. Even more ideal would be a complete wipe of daily and weekly bounties from all inventories whenever a new season hits, with any exceptions that might need to be made. This does beg the question though, should raid prep continue to be as important as it is now? Should prep be a part of the World First race? Bungie does think so, and we'll talk about that in the next paragraph. To have the most balanced race, Bungie would just need to set everyone's power level to automatically adjust to whatever the encounter's level is. So if an encounter is tuned to 625, the game would automatically set everyone to 700, 630 to 705, or whatever handicap they want to give to the player for the first 24 hours of the raid. This would be the most balanced way to have the raid race. Players are all equal in terms of power, and the only differences are gear rolls and weapon selection. This would make day 1 more about exploring the new stuff in the game, or potentially allowing Bungie to launch the raid at whatever time they want it, like the weekend, like I've seen such a clamoring for. I'm not saying Bungie should change the date of the raid now, but just for the future, they would have that option. But there is something fun about the scramble to get levels and complete powerful rewards and power leveling and all that kind of stuff. Old school World of Warcraft me knows all too well about nature and frost resistance potions and stocking up on flasks and other potions, and while I don't necessarily miss needing 500 of all those things, it was something to show that you were really prepared and above the rest of the crowd. Bungie did say that one of their goals for the cap was, quote, progression that challenges raiders to climb to compete for World First, which I assume means that they want that power level scramble to exist to some degree, and I also would like that. But in the case of Crown of Sorrows, again, 6 hours is a really tight window to hit that level 720 mark, which leads people to stockpiling whatever they can to abuse any leveling systems that they can in the game. If the raid came out a few days later, this would give people more time to level, but the advantage would divert from having really high levels on your character to having more gear and weapon options, which I don't think is as big of an advantage, but still a significant enough one that people would want to have as many weapons as possible. However, I imagine the contest modifier didn't exist when Bungie came up with this original plan of launching the raid on day 1, and they can't really change the date now, so I understand it's a tough situation that just needs to be fixed the next time a raid launches. That's my bit on the World First race. Some things still need to be done to make it completely even, but I'll take whatever I can get at this point. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.